Aloha und herzlich willkommen zu Triathlon Podcast.
Yeah, welcome to another episode of Triathlon Podcast. My today's guest is Bob de Wolf, CEO of the BMC Pro Triathlon Team. Welcome on board, Bob. How are you doing today?
Hi, good to be there. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. First of all, as we are speaking at the beginning of January 2023, Happy New Year. Hope that you're going to have a good start into the new year.
Yeah, thank you. The same for you and the family.
I would say I introduced you as the CEO, General Manager of BMC Pro Triathlon Team. I would say before we hop onto that Pro Triathlon Team topic, I would like to know more about you because we had some email exchange up front, but and we know your name, but where are you coming from? And have you been sporty while being a child, for instance?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think my entire life has been, sport has been kind of the constant in my life, and being a child all the way through my university degree to my a lot of my jobs had to do with sport or sport related brands. So I played football all my life for 20 years at a fairly half decent standard in Belgium. Yeah. At the age of 25, I had an injury, and it was either an operation or 6 months of kind of active rest. They told me you can swim, you can cycle, but not the twisting, turning, speeding up, accelerating that you need in football. Yeah. So we came to the end of the season, so I decided, look, I'm going to go for the active recovery option.
Yes.
I had a few friends into triathlon. I started swimming with them, cycling with them, and I never played football again. So that was for me the start of my personal triathlon experience. I got very passionate about it. Start competing in Ironman. On my kind of educational background, I did sports science at secondary level. So also there, sport was kind of the constant and my main interest. And then from secondary school, went to university, did a master in sports science and physical education at the University of Leuven in Belgium. Exited there with my master degree in 2001.
Okay.
And then my first job, I got into pharmaceutical sales. So I did 5 years of that. I just gave you some heads up on my start into triathlon. And at one point, my brother and I, we were both doing it, and we got incredibly passionate about it. A long story short, in the end, we decided to move to Lanzarote together, and we worked in one of the biggest sport resorts in the world. Spent 2 years there, living the dream. So we were both working in pharmaceutical sales. We both left it behind, moved together to Lanzarote, and I think it's still one of the best decisions in my life. I mean, I met my wife there. It was just an incredible time in our lives, and it was just a real opportunity to live your dream, live your passion. I wasn't a professional athlete, but just as an amateur, to work in an environment where you can almost train like a pro was just a phenomenal experience. And on the back of that, I think it is also because of we worked there and we were in such a kind of triathlon-minded environment. It eventually also led to the start of our triathlon team. So, and I can tell you a little bit more about the history of the team, but it is because of the network, the contacts that we have built up there, that eventually it ended up us working in the sport as well. So after Lanzarote, I moved to the UK. My wife is British, so in the end decided to give England a try. Yeah. Worked 1.5 years in recruitment, and then moved to Adidas. So worked 3 years for Adidas in the UK as sales manager. And after that, my brother initially started with the triathlon project, and I kind of joined the team in 2013. So that's kind of my life story in a nutshell. But your question about sports, yeah, it is the constant in everything I've done my entire life, really.
Wow, awesome. Where and when was your first triathlon race where you competed?
Yeah, so what I just mentioned, so I was kind of in this process where I wasn't allowed to play football. I was swimming, I was cycling.
Could you swim
and
up
after
front?
a while,
Could you swim already beforehand?
no. So swimming has been always my struggle. I could swim, and I could kind of do the distance quite quickly. I could swim, proper sets, but I just didn't have the technique. So I had a base. I was, let's say, I had enough to swim and to swim distance, but I never really had proper swim training. So like a lot of people making a transition to triathlon a bit later in their lives, the big issue and the big aspect that needs attention is the technique. And that's the same in my circumstances. So swimming was always a struggle for sure. I was swimming with a triathlon club, and you might know, but Mark Hermans, the athlete who finished sixth in Kona, then got paralyzed the year after, and then competed again in a wheelchair and became world champion in the para division the year after. I mean, he was the main inspiration for us. We grew up in the same village. He was one of Belgium's best athletes at the time, so we went to see a lot of his races. We were big fans. And he kind of got us into the sport. So we were training with his club. I was swimming, I was biking with people, and after a while, I got the okay to start running again. So that kind of gave me then a goal, like, oh wow, okay, let's just do a triathlon. And I did a few Olympic distances, did my first middle distance that year, just all local Belgian races. And then that was for me the absolute kind of trigger, like, okay, I never went back to football again. So for me, there was one sport, and that was triathlon. And then got very passionate about it, got into Ironman racing, and that was ultimately my goal, to do a few Ironman and to try to qualify for Kona. So that was my personal kind of ambition,
Okay. So first triathlon, what kind of year, or what year are we talking about?
It was 2006.
All right, okay.
No, wait, let's go back. Must have been 2004. 2004. Right. Yeah, sorry, yeah. I moved to Lanzarote in 2006. So 2004, 2005, a bit more intense. 2006, moved to Lanzarote. That were my years as doing Ironman. So that's more or less how we went. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned already that the time in Lanzarote was kind of living the dream. So you also worked there, or were just training or living?
No, I worked there. So I was running a test center. So together with the manager of the center, we did about 20 training camps a year. Cool. So we were hosting, people come and train on the island, in the resort, in triathlon, in swimming, in long distance running, literally duathlon weeks, marathon camps. So it was an incredible opportunity to kind of combine work with the sport of triathlon. And then the facilities in the resort are second to none. So it was a great, it was an easy way of living the dream of and the life of a triathlete. And beside that, I did personal training, I did coaching, I did sports science testing, exercise testing, things like that. So full involvement in the triathlon sport, on the coaching side, on the organizing of camps, that kind of side. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. I think at that time, Ironman Lanzarote was already in place, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think organized by Kenneth Gask, wasn't?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
He's a legend, right? I haven't spoken to him yet, but
yeah. So Kenneth, he worked at the resort as well, so I got to know him very well. He's a fantastic guy, and a legend in the sport for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. And so why did you stop there, living and working on Lanzarote?
At the end, look, like I said, I met my wife there, and after a while, we felt like, look, this really feels like, let's take the next step together. And then it was, either Belgium or England, and she won, so we went to England. No, I'm joking. I really wanted to give England a very good chance. Really, I was excited for the opportunity to move to England to see what life could be like living in the UK. So we settled here, and that was for me also at the point in time. I also felt like, look, it's time again for a proper career. I mean, I was able to live my dream for 2 years, but the main ambition was to marry my wife, settle, buy a house, get children. So kind of really the standard. We wanted a family, and it all felt right and the right thing to do at the time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, makes sense. But also in Belgium, they have pretty good French fries and also with chocolate.
Yeah. Absolutely. And don't forget the beer. So
that's true. Yeah, exactly. You mentioned also that you took part in full Ironman distance races in order to give the qualification for Hawaii a shot. Did you make the qualification at the end?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I raced. My first Ironman was Ironman Nice. So
come on, really?
Yeah, look, a fantastic race. So with the World Championship moving there, I think from all locations, there's always a debate. But if he has to move for a reason, I think Nice is a fantastic option to host a World Championship. It's a phenomenal event, really well organized. Yves Cordier does a great job there, and just the entire city, the atmosphere around it. So I think for me, in terms of my first Ironman, it was a phenomenal experience. I did Ironman Florida the same year. That's 2007. And that's where I qualified. So that's my qualification for 2008. Then I did Ironman Lanzarote the following year in I think May 2008, and then Hawaii in October 2008. So that are the 4 Ironman I did. And I kind of ticked the box qualifying. I raced Hawaii, and that was for me then, okay, that's now it's time for something new and move on in life. Yeah.
And so how did you experience Hawaii at that time, 2008?
Very happy how it all went. I mean, looking back, I think it was still an incredibly unique opportunity to race with all the pros at the same time.
Sure.
It was still the kind of the era that you had I think almost 100 male pros, you had 50, 60 female pros, you had a big field of professionals, and as an amateur you were just 20 meters behind them in the ocean, and the cannon went off and everybody went off together. So you had a real feeling you were racing and you knew where you were, and so kind of it was in that respect a unique opportunity. Everything went as good, I think, as could be, and I'm very happy with the entire experience for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I remember. Okay, I was on the island in 2006. At that time, without knowing anything about Ironman, because my wife and I we booked the flight to Hawaii a couple of months before, and arrived in the race pre-week.
Oh yeah,
We're astonished about all the fit athletes in Kona and in the hotel, and running around and cycling around. And that brought up then my curiosity on the sport. And so I did my first triathlon in 2007 then.
Okay, yeah.
But remembering back, I mean, the vibe in Kona was special. Yeah, that was amazing. And I think racing there, in your case, in 2008, also pretty special. I think that's something you will never forget, right?
No, exactly. So, and I'm also pleased I could tick that box, because that also enabled me then to move on in life, really, with feeling like it's been, looking back, it's only been a good 4 years that I was intensely training and competing in triathlon, but I felt I've kind of done my innings. I did what I wanted to do. Ever since, I tried to stay fit, and I cycle a bit. I run quite a lot. I go to the gym, so it's always been part of my life. But the racing aspect and the kind of that's been something I felt I've done, and I can kind of place it and just focus on being healthy, happy, and a fit dad, I call myself at the moment.
Yeah, sure. You mentioned that your brother he kicked off a team at the end, or the pro team.
Yeah, so just to go back in time, I mean, we're talking now around 2008, 2009. There was one Belgian athlete. His name is Bruno Klerbout. And he was a very good amateur athlete. And he was also kind of competing in Ironman racing. And I think his ultimate dream was to become a professional athlete. Now, there was an entrepreneur who lived in the same village, the owner and a shareholder of Uplace, who got connected to Bruno and who said, look, I really want to give you a chance as a professional, but I want to be more than just a logo on your shirt. So I want to provide a support structure around you to make you a better athlete. And that's eventually why my brother came in to assist Bruno in almost everything in his day-to-day life, going with him on training camps, to races, to support him, not as his coach, but making sure that every aspect that's important in triathlon was looked after. So that was the start. So that's where my brother came in, worked with Bruno for a year. Now, the entrepreneur, Bart Verhagen, is very ambitious. So from one came another and say, look, let's get a second athlete on board. That's when Sophie Goos, you might remember, she had an outstanding career in long-distance triathlon. She came on board in 2010, and that was then the first time a mini team. Ben was then looking for, get them both on the same bike, the same kit, a bit the same look and feel. So that was the start of a mini team. And then seeing that and seeing what kind of the small team, more than just 1+1, you had a team identity that kind of developed the overall idea to do something unique in the triathlon sport. And that was then the launch of the Uplace Pro Triathlon Team in 2011. Okay. That's still all my brothers doing it. So that was a team of 7 athletes. You had Bart Ternouts in there, Rutger Becken initially, Bert Chamar, Axel Zeebroek, so Tine Dekker, Sophie Goos, and then Bruno Klerbout. So a fantastic team of Belgian athletes. It was all Belgian focused, but it was one of the biggest ever projects that was done in the Belgian triathlon sport. And then with those Belgian athletes, the results were also on an international level at an outstanding level. I think in 2013, out of I think we have 4 athletes in the top 16 in Kona. So in terms of, solely Belgian project, they were definitely performing on an international stage. And that also kind of got noticed. So in 2012, Ben was coming back from Kona and he met the global head of marketing of BMC. And they got talking and he had noticed our team and Kona because they're all wearing the same kit, they were wearing the same outfit, and they internally they were thinking about a team in triathlon as well. So they had their Tour de France cycling team, they had their mountain bike team, and in triathlon they were working with a number of individuals, very good individuals, but they felt, look, the cycling team, the mountain bike team, they had this vision of doing something on a team level in triathlon as well. And a long story short, that's then where we were a big Belgian team, well organized, set up already, and then they had an intention to go and do something on a team level. So that's kind of where the two ideas kind of came together. So in 2012, an intention agreement was kind of laid out and signed. 2013, that's where I come in. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details, but eventually Ben decided to move a year to football. So the owner of the triathlon team is also the owner of Club Rouge, the football team, the best Belgian football team at the moment. Yeah. So he had a great opportunity to move to football for a year as team manager there. So his role as a team manager for the triathlon team came available. As we just discussed, we got very similar backgrounds. So long story short, I became team manager of the Belgian team, then moved to football. Then we had the intention to go and build a big international team together with BMC. So the first year that I came on board, I still ran the Belgian team. But behind the scene, we were then the entire 2013 season, we were working on the launch of the big international team for 2014. And after a year in football, my brother got asked, what do you prefer, stay in football? Do you want to come back to triathlon? And after a year, he said, I got back to sports, and he came back as sports director. So after a year he was back, he's become our dedicated sports director to the team, and I then start looking after all the more general management. And that's how we kind of been running the team since the end of 2013. So 2014 was then the launch of the U-Place BMC Pro Triathlon team of 10 top international athletes. And that is then where the international project developed and started from, which we have been running together since then till now. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. And I think at that time, when was it? Because I remember back when I started triathlon, I noticed that in Germany, for instance, there was the Commerzbank team. Where Norman Stadler, Timo Bracht were part of, and many other athletes. So this was a kind of role model for the U-Place team.
Yeah, look, definitely. So I think Commerzbank is one of the prime examples where we kind of were looking up, because they had a very clear identity. They all looked the same. They're world-class athletes. They were winning the biggest races in the world. But it was predominantly that identity. You knew this is a team. They kind of in a race, you saw them coming, that team outfit. Yeah, that's a Commerzbank athlete. So where lies the difference? What we hope to achieve long term is to overcome the main problem or obstacle that is around in the triathlon sport. That is that when the main sponsor disappears, the whole project disappears. So for us, one of the main aspects from day one has to be the continuity, and to really be able to create a legacy that goes further than just one sponsor. And that was also the main vision of the founder. It's like, look, we have to become sustainable. You can't just rely on me providing an opportunity to run a professional team. We have to have a project that can stand on its own legs. A bit where you see, in other sports. So we try to do everything we could, and that goes down predominantly back to providing the right return of investment, working behind the scene hardly on those aspects, that we could continue to exist. And that's, I think, the main change, what we have tried to kind of looking back at Commerzbank, absolutely, but then to be able to overstep the moment Commerzbank pulled out. That was also the end of the project. So what you have tried to do is find a legacy and a base, an operational structure that can provide continuity. And I think that's been the main change in approach between the two. Yeah.
True. Yeah. But it's, I mean, this kind of building a sustainable model, it's a process. Yeah, it doesn't happen from overnight. Yeah, and but I think. You mentioned that you also got sales experience in Adidas, for instance. There were skills which helped definitely in order to raise attention for the team, and also to acquire new sponsors or partners for the team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're completely right. At the end, it is only thanks to the opportunity Bart Verhagen as founder gave us all those years. He gave us the opportunity to become a sustainable project. And then not to forget BMC, who came on board as main sponsor and still is. We have had that incredible and tremendous support from BMC for over a decade now. So those two aspects have been key drivers in our opportunity to be sustainable. But beside that, I think our day-to-day running of the team cares about two things. What do we need to do to make our athletes better athletes? So that is the entire sports-specific approach. We have a team doctor, we have a physio, we have a sports director. We organize training camps. We try to do as much as we can to support our athletes throughout the season. That's part one. Also on the setup, we try to find best-in-class partners in every single segment. So an athlete within our team should have a feeling like, look, my performances are really looked after. I'm supported in the best possible way as a real professional. That's part one. But secondly is, what do we need to do day in, day out to provide our partners with the right return of investment? So it is a crucial part of our DNA. Also something we really bring across to the athletes. Like, for us to be able to exist, we need to be able to provide the right return to our sponsors. And it is that continuous understanding that is a key part of what we do and the reason of our existence, that we try to provide proper fulfillment on that aspects towards our sponsors and partners. And I think that is a key part in terms of over the years establishing a sustainable model. Yeah.
Sure. So this means also, because I learned from several interviews with pro athletes that some of them, they are enjoying the lifestyle or taking the triathlon as a kind of lifestyle sport, and neglecting that at the end it's a business, yeah, and they are responsible for their own brand, for their own business, or thinking about themselves to be a kind of entrepreneur. So this is also something you teach your athletes, which you bring on board in order to make them aware that the whole marketing aspect, for instance, is pretty important. Or how do you do that?
Yeah, exactly. So let's say in 2 weeks' time, we start our season with our team training camp. So what we will do, one of the first days, we have a sit down with everybody. We have a meeting. We discuss, exactly what I just outlined, the importance of the right return. We talk about social media activations. We provide them with guidelines, with support in making sure we do what we can to kind of fulfill the return of investment sponsors are looking for. So absolutely, that we try to bring across a real understanding of the importance of it. And look, back in the day when I started, it's almost in the 10 years, you see almost a change. I mean, back in the day, you were happy you were seen in a triathlon magazine, or you had a cover, or your race report went out in the triathlon media. There's a big change now. A lot of it is driven by social media, is driven by engagement. So there are continuous changes in what is relevant, what is important. But it is the key aspect is to deliver on what the partners and sponsors are looking for, and to really provide them with the understanding that with the kind of the belief that you understand what they want and that you deliver on it. And that is something I feel what we want to get to a point as sponsors, when they engage with us, when they say, look, we're working with the BMC Pro Triathlon Team, they know they got very guaranteed and direct lines to us to make sure that guarantee that return is there for them. To kind of potential frustrations that sponsors might have around organizing specific aspects with athletes, and that can go across many sports. But just the kind of the work that sometimes need to be done on behalf of the sponsor to make things happen. We just want to be part of that activation process already. We want to be part of it. We want to make sure that whatever needs to be done will be done, and we provide that guarantee. So if you work with us, we make sure if you need photos, you need a photo shoot done, you need a meet and greet to, always keeping our first part of our vision in mind. Like, we want to be there for our athletes, and we will want to make sure they are supported and kind of managed in the best possible way. So we always look after them, but also understanding what's needed for sponsors. And it's that kind of that combination that can really help in getting the best out, both on the athlete side and providing the right return for the sponsors.
Sure. Are you reaching out to athletes which you want to bring to the team, or are they approaching you? How is this process in that case?
It's a combination. So definitely at the end, we look in the more than 10 years that we now in our existence as a team. I think if we start looking now at who we are as a team, I think we have become a team of finding the next big talent. And I think that's also something we're very proud of, and something we really cherish and embrace at this point in time. So that means that we continuously indeed look after the next up and coming athletes. I mean, we just signed Thor Bendix Madsen, who is a 23-year-old. He just finished 8th at the 70.3 Worlds. He had one of the fastest debut times over the Ironman, especially for his age. So yeah, that is a prime example of somebody we believe in, over the next few years will be absolutely world class. And we love those journeys to kind of bring athletes from, the kind of, we see the potential there and they're already delivering. I mean, you're 8 in the world, so you're already delivering at a world-class level, but there's still opportunity together, and also athletes benefiting from our support and then bringing them to a new level. That is, I think, something over the 10 years now that we've been doing. It's something we found has given us the biggest rewards, and something we are now very focused on. We feel that is one of our strengths, is identifying the next talent and then develop them within our team umbrella, bring them to the highs of their career. And that is something we've been able to do with a number of athletes. We've been very proud of that, and something we love to continue doing for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, sure. So you are reaching out to athletes also during the season, or by the end of the season, or when? Because I could imagine that there are some pro athletes who are listening to this podcast and thinking, "Oh wow, that sounds like an ideal framework for me." And where can I apply for?
Yeah, look, and I'm very honest. So I will always look at an application. So people feel free to contact me to provide me with show me their interest for sure. What we look sometimes, it could be a start of us paying more attention to somebody's career. Ultimately, we are looking for athletes who can win the biggest races on the planet. So there are different circuits now. You got the PTO events, you got the Ironman, you got Challenge. So we are looking ITU, long distance. So we are looking for athletes who can win the biggest races in the world. So that is for us the main objective in terms of finding an athlete. So throughout the season, we want to be one of the best teams in the world. We want to be a winning team. So we need every single athlete in our team needs to have the potential to win big races. Ultimately, we aim for world titles. So we had the 2021 ITU long distance world champion with Christian Hergenhaug, Ironman winner last year in Kona. So we've been on the podium of world championships on a number of occasions. So for us, that's the ultimate. It's a bit like our Tour de France. The pinnacle is in the big events. And so ultimately, if you look at athletes, it's either athletes who have that potential to go and achieve that, or a proven track record of ability to go and win races. That's what we kind of look for in athletes. Okay. But that said, we continuously monitor who are athletes who are able to go and deliver on that. So it doesn't mean that athletes might not be immediately in that category. Yeah, they might get there. So it's for us an ongoing process to monitor athletes, to keep following athletes. And we also take quite a lot of recommendations on board. When we got athletes got presented to us, and we absolutely value people with knowledge and expertise in the sport. We will always very carefully look at every application, keep an eye on talent, and listen to expert and advisor in the sport, because sometimes they can bring and inform you with some very valuable input about an athlete or the progress that is potentially to be made by that athlete.
Sure, right. And in return, I mean, you mentioned that once an athlete is part of a team, they're going to join in training camps. They get medical support. They also get a kind of monthly salary or a kind of consistent salary, or what it's like.
Yeah, so our athletes have a fee, an annual fee. There's a sponsorship, a bonus structure in place. And then, of course, one of the best possible setups. So from bike to helmet to wheels to apparel, nutrition, a lot of the wetsuit aspect. So I honestly believe we have some of the best partners in the sport on board. Sure. So in terms of the overall setup they have on the equipment side, and on heart, I believe they have one of the fastest setups available. And that is, of course, a key aspect as well. And then, like you say, okay, we talk about a fee, a bonus structure. and then the equipment, and then the additional layer of support around it. So what we actually try to achieve as a team is we don't want to interfere in what an athlete has already. A lot of athletes have a great relationship with a coach, or they might have a physio back home. They might have their own strength and conditioning partner or advisor. We don't want to interfere what is good already. What we want to provide is a layer of support around that. So if athletes need or they require special attention in an area important to them, they can find it within our setup. So we have our sports director who oversees the entire relationship between athletes, their coaches, their setup. And then we have experts in every segment, from, like I said, a team doctor who oversees the medical file in terms of injuries, in terms of anything we can work on there. We have our own strength of conditioning coach and physio who is one of the best in the world in that field. And that's kind of we got our mechanics. We got kind of within each segment, there is opportunity for athletes to go for additional support and advice if needed. And that's almost how we see ourselves. That is that extra layer of support around them. And then, of course, at training camps, an opportunity to really work as a team. Everybody is there. All the staff is there. And for the athletes to feel there is that layer of support available. They have very hands-on support the whole training camp. We create that team identity, that team bond. And there is that access to that extra support available. And when they then come away from a camp, they can use it as and how it fits them best, depending on what is needed, depending on what they want to improve on, aspects that come in and training that needs attention. That's the way we see it, is that extra layer of support around them, and they can kind of use it as in how it suits them best around their personal setup back home.
Okay, well, sounds like the dream package, yeah. It is like a dream package, I would say.
We try to. Looking back, we're proud of where we come from and the fact that we're still around. I mean, I think that's one of it's not common to be around in the sport for that long. So we're very proud and grateful that we've been able to do this. And that is an overwhelming feeling. I think also winning the world title last year, sometimes you reflect on a few things, and that's the overwhelming feeling is a feeling of gratitude that we had that opportunity to go all the way, to still be in the sport. We still have we have a number of years to go with a lot of our main sponsors now, so there's a fantastic future ahead of us. But that also kind of at times it provides you with an opportunity to reflect and look forward. And I think for us the absolute biggest, and I see it as the overall obstacle or kind of objection for the triathlon sport, that is the inclusion of non-endemic brands, like the non-sport related partners to come to triathlon. And that's for us also the biggest challenge. We want to attract a non-sport related brand to our team. And if we achieve that, I think that Commerzbank, prime example of a great example of a partner that saw value in triathlon, that wanted to link its company values to the sport. The triathlon sport has such a phenomenal image. It has such positive and incredible values. There's so much to do with the sport in terms of connecting a brand to it. But it's because it's a small sport, because it's for a lot of companies an unknown sport. You don't have the classic stadium to fill. The kind of the TV time is it's not like football. It's not like cycling. So there are obstacles, but I think that it's the same for, look at PTO, look at Ironman. I mean, if those kind of race organizers are able to attract big brands from outside the sport, that will be the next level for the triathlon in a whole, and also for us as a team. So I think looking back and looking at the overwhelming gratitude of what we've been able to do and what we are able to continue to do, it also sometimes triggers an aspect of, okay, where is the real opportunity for the sport and for us? And I think that's where we want to get to, is to maintain what we have, to bring on board one non-sport related brand to seize opportunity in triathlon. And I think if we achieve that on a team level, if PTO achieves that on an organizational level, Ironman continues to attract additional brands from outside the sport. That's, I think, where we can get and lift the sport to new levels. What's been done look at football, look at the big sports. A lot of them have had that opportunity to attract the big brands from outside the sport to get to new levels. And I think that is a real opportunity for triathlon, and something I hope we can achieve on a team level. And we'd love to see it also outside and done by race organizers and see them be successful in bringing not sport related brands to the sport.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like Ironman did last year, with the car brand VinFast. Yeah, and outside sponsor, or I mean, Jan Frodeno, he's also sponsored by Breitling watches. Yeah. So it has a huge potential, and also for the brands which got involved then into triathlon, because they got also new visibility on their products, and it's a win-win at the end.
Look, we definitely believe so. But that's I think for us on a personal level as a team, one of the biggest objectives for the years to come is to maintain what we have. And absolutely, look, and there's again where the gratitude comes in. We are in a very kind of in a good position, knowing we got a budget for next year, for the years to come. We've got a fantastic team together, but it's then utilizing that moment to take the next step up, and we see that next step in bringing one additional sponsor on board from outside the sport.
Big respect, because you also made it through the pandemic years, 2020, 21. How hard was it for you and the team to go through that period without any races? And so, because I can imagine that it wasn't that easy in order to also convince partner sponsors to stay on board.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, the first and the overwhelming feeling is again one of being very grateful for all our sponsors and partners staying with us throughout that period. So that's been it wasn't easy at all, definitely. So I think the biggest in the initial phase, it was the big unknown for all the companies, especially in the sport industry, in the cycle industry. There was the big unknown of what's coming and what's going to happen. So for a lot of companies, just like let's hold, let's kind of take a moment to assess the overall situation. What is probably a positive thing eventually is that there was a huge demand in the sport industry, both on cycling, in cycling, in running. Because through the lockdowns, people wanted to cycle, wanted to run. So immediately for a lot of brands, I think they saw like, okay, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna get through this. And I think that was one of the, luckily that established it fairly rapidly. After a few months, I think the companies start to see that increased demand in the sports sector. That enabled to kind of stabilize things. From a team point of view, we were also lucky that we had an Australian athlete, Max Neumann, and Australia still had opportunity to put races on. Nobody could get in, but within the country, they were still organizing. And Max had a phenomenal year. He won Cairns. He won whatever he could win. So we had that. And then also the moment there were the first few races again, Chris and Kat both won Ironman Florida that year. So any race we were able to race, we were able to, very gratefully, we were able to do incredibly well in those races. So in a normal year, we might race 60 times. That was a year we raced 10 times, but we won most of them. So it still enabled us to kind of have some success towards our sponsors. Another aspect we focused on immediately is like contacted all the sponsors and asked what are for us ways to still be relevant to you. And we worked on indoor training sessions. We tried to be creative. We did podcasts with media. We did video Zoom editions with media outlets. We were continuously looking for opportunities to still be relevant. Yeah. There was a lot of racing going on platforms like Swift. So we made sure we could do whatever we could to still provide return for the sponsors. We were lucky that the races we could race, we did really well. And we were very grateful for the way our sponsors were sticking by us. But it was definitely not an easy time at all, sure. I think, for everyone. And grateful we got out of it and we're still around.
Sure. You mentioned, the whole team. I mean, the team won a world championship title in Kona last year with Chelsea Sodaro. When did Chelsea came on board in the team?
So Chelsea came on board 4 years ago, and it's again looking back. I mean, probably one of the most exciting journeys we had within the team. When we signed Chelsea, she had an athletic background, racing athletics in Diamond League games, on the cusp of making the US team. So we knew there is phenomenal potential there as an overall athlete. She then had her first few years in ITU racing. She won one World Cup event, and then she was stepping into half distance. So it was a great opportunity to sign somebody with a very limited proven track record in long distance. But within our opinion, we thought there is an incredible potential for her to go and do incredibly well. And a very funny fact, so after Ironman, the World Championship, and Chelsea won, I got reminded by a journalist from Triathlete in the US, reminded me that 4 years ago he interviewed me, and I said, like, Chelsea Sodaro is going to win the World Championship. So it was kind of funny that I got reminded by it, but because it was always our belief that she had something special, really special, and we knew she would be able to get to the absolute top in the sport, and to then be able to go through that journey in between Chelsea becoming a mom, and to kind of been able to provide her also with that opportunity as a member of our team, and then for her to come back fairly rapidly after giving birth. She kind of start training with a clear dedication to get back to the best level ever, and she demonstrated that already in Hamburg, finishing second and third in the PTO, her last PTO event. And then, in Kona, there was absolutely no doubt showing her world-class level there and performing to the level she did. So one of the best journeys ever with an athlete, and incredibly proud of what she did for us and how we, it was great.
Absolutely. So you have been to Kona last year? Live?
Yeah.
Oh man, that must be also pretty incredible, to be there live, watching your athlete winning the race.
Yeah, I think that if you go have a look at our BMC Pro Tri social media, but there's a great section of images from Chelsea kind of going through the final finishing shoot, and before the barriers start appearing. I was standing a bit further out, and she comes through. She has about 300-400 meters to go, and we just had the opportunity to give each other a high five to really embrace the moment before she goes really down the red carpet. That is a moment I will never forget in my life, and from what I understand, it was also a special moment for her. So it's and there was a photographer who kind of caught it all. So there's a nice selection of images for us, seeing us celebrate, doing the high fives, emotional and special moment indeed. Yeah, thank you.
Incredible. Yeah, congratulations to you, to Chelsea, to the whole team. Because also Max Newman, he was pretty successful. I think he made top, fourth place, right?
Fourth place, and if you look at the race, Max was 1 minute behind third. Christian Blumenfeld, 4 minutes from the winner. I think those four athletes were just in another league on the day. They were racing together almost the entire day. Sam Laidlow had a phenomenal end to his bike, and almost he dominated the bike leg almost from start to finish, and held on incredibly well in the run. But those three athletes then coming from behind, with Max, with Christian, and Gustav Iden. Yeah, I mean, he was so close. He was only at one point with about 10k to go, and Max started coming back to Christian, 40 seconds. We saw Christian was suffering, but yeah, I mean, if one athlete can suffer and you can still keep going. So yeah, I mean, he was so close, and for him to be racing, at that level, accompanied by those three athletes, and yeah, okay, at the end of the day, he misses the podium by a minute, which is the worst position to be in. But again, he showed it was his debut race. So also for Max, his debut in Hawaii, come away with that fourth place, gives us a lot of confidence that he will come back one year to come and win it. So, and that is also for him. Ultimately, the month after he had rested, he was looking at building up for 2023. One objective, that's to go and win Kona. Look, of course, things have changed since then with the announcement that it will be Nice for the men this year. But for him, ultimately, there's one big objective, and that is to go back to Kona to win it. And I do believe, and he showed that he has all the talent to go and do that. Yeah,
sure. Well, we'll be 24 next time.
It is, yeah, it is.
But maybe one of the athletes has also potential to win Nice in September this year.
It's really interesting. Definitely, it's a completely different approach to it, and of
Absolutely.
course, it's gonna suit different types of athletes. So yeah, I'll tell you, at our training camp, we always sit together with every single athlete, and we go in detail then about their plans for the season, what they're thinking, how they. We really have a very open conversation about everything, but does indeed exactly what I hope we establish with a number of our athletes is a real belief that they can go and do something special in Nice, and then work out a plan of how we can go and make that happen. Really,
Sure.
we as a team, we have a tremendous feeling and link to Nice. We won it with Bart Ternouts. We've been there over the years. I might have been in person, been there 3-4 times to support athletes throughout the race. We finished fourth, I think, at 70.3 Worlds back in the day. So it's a location and an area we absolutely love as a team. We're very kind of, how shall I say it? We know the area, we know the course. We got inside knowledge on aspects that are important, what to do, what not to do. So it is in that respect, it's a really exciting opportunity again to define, okay, who are the athletes who really see potential to go and do well, make a plan, and try to go and deliver it to the best we can do as a team.
Sure. I also think, yeah, it's a fair course, especially the bike split in Nice, and it doesn't suit everybody, but yeah, for strong cyclists, it's a big opportunity, and also for people or for athletes who struggle to especially in really hot and humid climates like on Kona, it brings some advantages. And yeah, let's see how it turns out.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it's also time for something new, like this change from Ironman to give it a try in Nice in this case for the next 2 years. Or 4 years, because it stays until 26, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, we are going to learn how we'll turn out and unfold during the next years. And so you mentioned that you and the whole team will meet in a couple of weeks. And how long do you stay together then?
Our training camps in general last about 2 weeks. So we use the opportunity to do our photo shoots, do some video work. Our sponsors will be attending. We meet as a team. We meet individually. Our doctor will be there. Our physio will be there. Just all kind of aspects to kind of how shall I describe it? Just to use it as a starting point for kind of work on strength and conditioning. Do a screening with all athletes so they any underlying issues that we can already be aware of, do a screening of the tendons, just to make sure, okay, we've got a strong base here to build from. Is there anything we need to be aware of? The doctor, the physio, they'll take 2 hours with each athlete, do a thorough screening, work in detail with them and make sure there's nothing there when they come away from the camp that we're not aware of, that we can't work on, that we don't have a plan about. So it's a real opportunity to start the season off in the best possible way, identifying any potential issues, any working points that we can take away when we're back home to support the athletes with special projects that we start with partners around equipment, around optimization. So it is a real starting point for us. And then, of course, gives us opportunity to create the marketing assets, the return of investment for the sponsors and partners, and just a really good opportunity to be together. Because that's, I think, if you compare like racing as an individual or racing as a member of the team, that is one of the benefits we offer. That is that kind of feeling to be part of something more than just yourself. And that is to be part of that team, to represent the team, to wear the same colors, to see your teammates do well and you really wanting to do the same. You don't want to be the one who leaves behind and haven't won yet or haven't performed well yet. And is that kind of the connection between each other? And that's something you really establish at a training camp, where they train together, they learn from each other, they push each other, they have fun together. And that is something you carry through for the rest of the season. And that's why we really like those camps, why we do them, and why we really believe in them as a kind of a way to connect and bring the whole team together.
Sure. And I think it's also a nice time in order to build up mutual trust. Yeah. Because, as you said, you also stick to Chelsea while she was pregnant, and other sponsors would have dropped her maybe. And so you believed in her and in the whole process in order to become successful, in order to win the Kona race one day. And so that's a clear sign to also other athletes, I mean, female athletes, that even if you want to give birth or have a family, then it's not the end of your career. Or even if an athlete is injured, it doesn't need to be necessarily the end of his or her career. Yeah. And that's also what I learned here from talking to you, that you also stick to the athlete if you believe in, and you give best support, medical support, in order to bring the athlete back up to speed. Yeah.
Yeah, look, and we had the opportunity to go through pregnancy with an athlete 3 times now. So we had Tine Dekkers as a member of our Belgian team, who was pregnant, gave birth as a member of our team. We had Liz Blatchford, who was also a phenomenal athlete on the podium in Kona, who has gave birth, came back, won 2 Ironman races the following year, and now with Chelsea. So absolutely, at the end, we love to be there for our athletes, and in the end, the reward on the other side is incredible. To give people the opportunity to go through pregnancy, but then you also see what they do back and what they give back, and the dedication they put in to get back to the level they want to get to. And see them then achieving what they have done is just remarkable. And sure. It's also the same for other athletes. We had athletes who struggled with maybe some kind of, call it, burnout aspects, or they go through a bad patch, or proper injuries. At the end, we love continuity. We really want to work with athletes we believe in, and then you provide them with that confidence and support. That doesn't mean that there come points in time where we feel, okay, our overall objective of winning the biggest races on the planet are no longer kind of possible for a particular athlete. That might also mean we gradually look for a transition there. But all in all, we stick by them as and when we need to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Do you also support athletes who end their career in? Yeah, because I can imagine that some pro athletes, they are just focusing on the pro career, but sometimes don't think about the next steps after that. Do you also support your athletes when it comes to what to do after their active career?
No, that is just to answer to your question. Not particularly from a team point of view. No, from experience, from athletes who have made changes or retired, or I always felt they had already a kind of a plan in mind when they kind of. So it hasn't been. We haven't had experience where we felt athletes were kind of hitting. Let's say, hitting rock bottom or kind of didn't find their ways. But it's not that we kind of have a complete plan in place for after their careers. No, it's a very good point. But it's not something we actively kind of facilitate.
Sure. Talking about the team, how many people are working for the team in general?
So we got so Ben as sports director, as like I said, he's my brother. He's full time on board as a team on the team. Then myself as general manager. Then we have somebody who looks after our social media activation. We have then team doctor, team physio. At training camps, we have a masseur, we have a mechanic. So there's kind of a whole list of people who work with us. We have a number of mechanics who can kind of assist us throughout the year if bikes come in for and we need to prepare them. So there's kind of a lot of those people are on consultancy base. So as and when there's kind of a need for their services, we work with them. So in total, I would say around a dozen of people are closely connected. On top of then all the athletes, of course. And
it's great, yeah. And also it's a lot of responsibility for you, yeah, to keep everybody on track and to keep the whole team on track. But also, I can imagine that when it comes to training camps together with the athletes, you also join from time to time some sessions, or?
When the time allows, definitely. Look, when we're at the training camp, we have a feeling like, look, it's 24/7. So there's always a moment in the day where we can go out for a run, quickly go to the gym, and then on the easier days, on the calmer days, when we have less marketing activities or we got a couple hours, we'll love to jump on our bike for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And do you still have time to compete for yourself in triathlon races?
No, so kind of my last proper triathlon race was 2008. So that's a long time ago. Yeah, I did one for fun last year. That was at a vineyard, so it was a bit more about the after party than the actual triathlon. That was just an Olympic, just getting around it. But no, I'm not racing anymore.
Okay, awesome. And a common contacts brought us together. One of Orca. Orca is also partner of a BMC Pro Triathlon Team, which is officially powered by 2XU. Is there a kind of conflict, maybe? Because I was thinking 2XU also make wetsuits.
Again, I think it really shows how much we value our partners and what we try to establish is real partnerships who sometimes go a bit further than purely kind of, how shall I say, the logo on a kit or, it's true. It's not common to see them both supporting a team, but we came at a point that we were looking for a dedicated apparel partner for the team.
Yeah.
Where 2XU showed real interest on a long-term commitment at a substantial level in terms of their real support, bringing expertise to providing all our and supporting all our apparel needs, from tri-suit to the bike kit to the running apparel, the compression. So also logistic aspects like rucksack, backpacks, things like that. So for us, it was a unique opportunity. At that time, we were working for a number of years with Orca on a fantastic level as dedicated swim partner. And at the end, it was just about having a very open conversation and outlining also just the difficulties at the time. We talk a good 2 years ago now. So that's in the midst of not the easiest period in overall in sport. So I think it was a mutual understanding of the opportunity for us as a team, what 2XU on the apparel side had to bring for us and the way they were able to support us. And then again, finding a very well balanced way of making sure Orca is our defined swim partner and nothing comes in the way of that. And 2XU is our dedicated apparel partner, and we made that very distinct separation from day one. And we've been able to cooperate in a fantastic way with both brands ever since, really.
Sure. For all interested listeners of this podcast, who want to learn more about the BMC Pro Triathlon Team, you have a website, right? Which one is it?
Yeah, exactly. bmcprotriathlon.com. Mm-hmm. So that's where you can find everything. You can follow us on Twitter, BMC Pro Tri, or you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, the same BMC Pro Tri, where you can stay up to date, day to day, what our athletes are doing, what we are doing as a team. Feel free to give us a follow.
Absolutely, yeah. All the respective links I will put into the show notes of this episode so that you can simply click directly onto the link and you will guide it through the app directly on the website or Instagram channel, YouTube, you name it. Bob, hey, wow. Thank you very much for taking the time today, because I guess you have a pretty busy schedule, even at the beginning of the year, because, I can imagine that you are in the planning phase or making the final points on the upcoming get together of the whole team. I guess it's not a kind of 9-to-5 job, isn't it?
No, that's a thing. Of course, first of all, if you got almost all the races taking place in weekends, so that is just already steps away from your classic 9-to-5 job where you do from Monday to Friday. But in the end, if you're able to work in sport and you're so closely connected to athletes, it's just I feel incredibly lucky to be able to work so closely and to athletes, be involved in sport, and it gives a lot of rewards for sure.
Absolutely. So you traveling to almost every race of your athletes, or?
No, that's all. Still now, look, I think in a year I would travel close to 100 days, which is already quite a substantial amount. We got the 2 team training camps. That's about almost a good 14 days at a time. Then you had World Championships, Hawaii. That's about 8-9 days that you travel. Then our head office for the team is in Belgium. So it's me going back and forth to Belgium on a number of, let's say on a 2-weekly, 3-weekly base for a number of days. Then, meeting up with sponsors at events, then attending a number of races throughout the year. So for sure, it kind of adds up quite quickly, the amount of days that you spend away already. So I'm not at every race, but let's say the key races, we always try to make sure there's one of our team members there to support the athletes. Could be our sports director, could be myself, mechanic, some other staff to support them, definitely.
Awesome. All right. I wish you, the team, all the best for 2023 so that you may reach all the goals which you have set, and that you going to earn more titles during the year and in the following years. Was really nice talking to you and learning more about the BMC Pro Triathlon Team powered by 2XU. Yeah. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. It's great talking to you. Thank you.
Hey, have a good one, and maybe we're going to see each other in person during the year.
I hope so.
Yeah, thanks maybe in Nice.
Marco. I will. That's a definite. Yeah, that's in the diary for sure. And it's not that far this time, so the jet lag won't happen this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For my location here, it's just 1.5 hours, so it's
oh wow, yeah,
it's not far away.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, take care, and all the best to the team and to you and to your family, and see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. All the best, Marco. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode with Bob the Wolf, and all the respective links, as I mentioned before, I put it into the show notes of this episode. And if you don't want to miss any further episodes of Triathlon Podcasts, simply subscribe to the podcast in respective players like Apple Podcast or others. All right. So then thank you for tuning in, and I wish you a great time until the next episode. Cheers, Marco.